So last weekend, my best friend Sarah decided to finally use her new apartment as an excuse to throw a fancy dress party. The invite, which she sent via text at 2 a.m., just said, "Come dressed fancy." With 3 champagne emojis and 0 further explanation. I figured this was just Sarah being Sarah, classic, chaotic good energy, so I dug out my high school prom suit, dusted off my bow tie, and even practiced my one dance move in the mirror for half an hour. I was ready to be the fanciest person in the room, or at least the least embarrassing. Or so I thought. When I arrived, things got weird immediately. At the door, I was greeted by our friend Mark, who was wearing a giant novelty monocle, tuxedo t-shirt, and a top hat made out of aluminum foil. Inside, it was even more confusing. Jenny had come as a 1920s flapper, but with a full feather boa made entirely of napkins. Mike was in a bathrobe with a wine glass and called himself lounge fancy, and Sarah herself was wearing an actual ball gown but had paired it with fuzzy bunny slippers and a tiara that said Princess of Coupons. Nobody seemed to be on the same page, but everyone was acting like their version of fancy was obviously what the invite meant. But the real showstopper of the night was when Emily walked in cradling a can of Fancy Feast cat food, wearing all black, with twigs in her hair, and a sign that said the Fancy Feast. She immediately became the life of the party, striking dramatic poses and insisting we call her Countess Whiskers. Things escalated after a couple rounds of charades, when I found myself slow dancing with Emily, well, technically with the can of Fancy Feast, since she insisted the can was her date and I was cutting in. At one point, someone started a conga line led by Mark's monocle, and Sarah was giving out fanciest guest awards that were just expired coupons she found in her purse. By the end of the night, I realized that nobody had actually asked Sarah what she meant by fancy dress, and she confessed she just wanted an excuse to wear her prom dress again and assumed we'd figure out the rest. So that's how I spent Saturday night, in a room full of people redefining fancy in increasingly absurd ways, getting upstaged on the dance floor by a can of cat food. And honestly, I still don't know if the real winner of the night was me, or if it was the can, because it turns out, when it comes to fancy parties, you just can't beat Fancy Feast.